The thing I love about golf is that it can be whatever you want it to be.
It is a way to be in nature.
It's not competing and beating someone, although that is fun, but it's also me playing as good as I can play. For some reason, I just love to do that.
And I've met a number of people on at the golf course that have become friends. It's just a community.
It's a great sport for socializing. It's something you can do from very young to very old.
And that's the beauty of Eastmoreland. You can play it at any skill level. You can be a tour player, you can be a beginner.
Golf Digest in 1990 named Eastmoreland as one of the top 25 public golf courses in the nation.
The course is part of that reason because it's a beautiful old style course, but I think we're also a pretty friendly course.
The city of Portland has a great golf program. As far as a municipal system, it's one of the best in the country.
I mean, so in the end, public golf course means it's public, anyone can play it. A private course, you have to be a member to play the course, and it's exclusive by nature.
Municipal golf courses were meant to be for people who live in the city. It isn't private, so you don't have to have a membership. It's not a resort, so you don't have to buy a room. You can just come when you want to, and you can play the golf course.
In 1913, a 19-year-old caddy and amateur golfer from Massachusetts surprised and inspired the nation by winning the U.S. Open, beating long-standing international champions Harry Vardon and Ted Ray. His own caddy, Eddie Lowry, was just 10 years old.
Francis Ouimet captured America's imagination and really led to the golf craze, which began in 1913 and only increased over the next 20 years.
Him winning that event made it seem like someone that was not rich could thrive in this game and do something really amazing. So there was a really big explosion, and a lot of people do credit that Francis Ouimet victory.
Ouimet's victory may have inspired Portland public golf in particular, as the two vanquished champions, Harry Vardon and Ted Ray, found themselves playing in Portland at the Waverly Country Club with Chandler Egan not 30 days later. Egan, who would later architect over a dozen golf courses including the internationally famous Pebble Beach, would just a few years after this match join a team of civic-minded Portlanders to design and build Eastmoreland, Portland's first public golf course.
1918 was when the Eastmoreland golf course opened, and how it came to be were members of the local country clubs. They knew how big golf was in their lives and thought that it was worthwhile to make it available to the public. They thought it was important enough to make it to where anyone could play.
And play they did.
That is a 100-year-old trophy, and it's presented each year to the winner of the City Golf Championship. Everyone's name is engraved on the trophy. We're going to have to buy another base pretty soon.
The golf course was a huge success, offering opportunities for golfers who otherwise may not have gotten much chance to play. Golfers like caddy Frank Dolp.
Frank Dolp is a really important figure in the history of Eastmoreland and public golf. A teenager when Eastmoreland was first opened. He really wouldn't have had an opportunity to go out on his free time and go play 18 holes. When Eastmoreland was opened, he now had that opportunity.
Pictures of Frank Dolp, who was the winner of the Western Amateur, which was a forerunner, I believe, of the Western Open, and another picture of him with a hickory-shafted golf club in 1925.
Frank Dolp went on to win the Oregon Am, the Pacific Northwest Amateur, and then ultimately the Western Amateur. His hickory sticks that he used for that tournament are in the clubhouse today.
course's resounding popularity, and despite the fact that course revenues were exceeding expenses, the final purchase of land for the completion of the course came under question.
The first few years, it was only the front 9. The back 9 was still just blueprints. In 1924, they were getting ready to purchase the complete 150 acres, and that's when politics got involved. There was a group called the Tax and Revenue Board, and they decided that the city should not be in the business of municipal golf. There were buyers available ready to make this gorgeous golf course private and no longer available for the public. C. Paul Kaiser was determined not to let that happen. He did an amazing amount of research and found a very specific section of the City of Portland Charter related to utility bonds. Well, what if golf was just a public utility? The mayor thought he was crazy. The city attorney said no way. The city treasurer considered it, and then after C. Paul Kaiser brought him to Eastmoreland, and by a miracle, he got a hole-in-one, which, according to a lot of golfers, looks like may have been a bit of a put-on by the Parks team, which I credit them for. They then talked to some other prominent lawyers, and they agreed that it was possible to make this argument. And so they went all the way to the Oregon Supreme Court to argue that golf was a public utility under the law. They won, and therefore the municipal bonds were raised. Eastmoreland was paid for, and there was enough money left over to go build Rose City Golf Course and a golf course which was where the Portland Zoo is now, that many older generation Portlands probably remember playing as kids.
Through the next several years, the golf course would continue to thrive, becoming the host of the National Public Links Championship Tournament in 1933, the first time that the tournament had been held west of the Mississippi. Eastmoreland regulars like Lou Stafford, Chuck Stafford, Benny Hughes, and Tab Moyer began to make their mark on golf in the Pacific Northwest, having a wonderful time as they did. This group of golfers were often referred to as the Eastmoreland Wolves. According to golfer Dick Estey, these players owned more golf titles than a person could count. One of the Wolves, Benny Hughes, came in second in the 1948 U.S. Public Links Championship. Benny lost only when he was stymied by his opponent on the last 2 holes.
The stymie rule, which they eliminated, and I'm glad they did, was if I had a putt to the hole, if the hole was here and my ball was a few feet from the hole, if another player's ball came between my ball and the hole, I had to deal with it. I had to take a wedge and chip over his ball into the cup. So it was a crazy rule, and I'm glad they got rid of it.
It's thought that Benny's loss played a role in that rule change. Benny certainly would have liked them to have gotten rid of it a few short years earlier. In the 1940s, Eastmoreland saw the emergence of another tight-knit group of golfers, the Leisure Hour Golf Club.
Leisure Hour started as a golf and social club to bring black people back in the 40s together to socialize and to do something that a lot of the guys like to do.
The founder, Vernon Gaskins, was a longtime golfer. He was a railroad man, worked at Union Pacific, and when the train would stop, he would chip and putt. This golf course was open and available to people of all cultures and backgrounds.
Although they weren't able to get on the golf course when the white participants were on, they got Eastmoreland here to accept them on Sunday and on Monday. They had a big tournament, 1944, and thus begins leisure hour.
Hernan Gaskin would go on to found the Western States Golf Association, which brought golfers together for tournaments all up and down the West Coast. The opportunities leisure hour afforded black golfers became hugely significant in the late 1950s when a young golfer named Bill Wright was looking to participate in the U.S. Public Links Championship.
Bill Wright's father was a member of Leisure Hour. Bill Wright's family later moved to Seattle.
The biggest public golf tournament in the country, he wanted to play in. But what you need is a handicap. And well, in Seattle, because Bill Wright was African American, he wasn't allowed to establish a handicap. So he actually came down to Portland and developed his handicap here at Eastmoreland.
He qualified for the 64 match play event as 63rd. So it's sort of like, you know, the Final Four championship, and he's got one of the last bids. He went on to win every single match on his way to becoming champion.
So in 1959, Bill Wright was the first black golfer to win a USGA title.